These are the new Image 2 speakers from Fluid Audio, and I've been testing them pretty extensively for the last few weeks, and here's what I think. Let's first do an overview of the whole speaker. It's a three-way speaker. It has 4 drivers, but it's a three-way speaker. And if we look at the front, we have a high-frequency driver that is a ribbon driver, a bit of the same as in the head speakers. It actually performs the same, it sounds the same. It's very precise and accurate, but it is a little bit piercing. I don't really like that sound, but a lot of people do actually. So it's more a specific thing for me. What I've noticed about this high frequency driver is that it's very directional. If you are in front of it, if it's pointing directly at your ears, it's perfect. But if you move a little bit, you quickly lose your high frequencies. And the benefit of this is that the high frequencies aren't scattered across your room and bouncing off the walls. The downside is that your sweet spot gets a little bit small. It doesn't have to be a problem, but it is something to keep in mind. The other driver on the front is the mid-frequency driver, and yeah, it's a pretty normal speaker, nothing special to say here, and it is what makes this speaker a three-way speaker, which is usually always better than a two-way speaker. And when we move to the sides of the speaker, we find not one, but 2 low-frequency drivers. And I think this is where the speaker really shines, because these woofers can seriously move some air. Like, it's a bit unbelievable how much low frequencies such a small box can generate, and also how much headroom it has, because I've been trying to get these ones to clip, and it was pretty painful. Now on the back it has a few very basic settings. First of all, it has a volume control, of course. It's again a stepped volume control, but it's still a little bit difficult to match the left and right speaker. I would actually love to see a more standardized workflow for setting up speakers, but this is not a Fluid thing, this is just an audio engineering thing. It would be nice to just have a few reference level settings on a speaker and then have the monitor controller handle it from there. Apart from the volume control, we also find a few low frequency gain settings, and there are also -1 and +1 dB settings for the mid and high frequency driver. 1 dB doesn't sound like a lot, but when it comes to setting up individual drivers in a speaker system, it's actually a lot. It's a huge difference that those little switches can make. Now there are a few utility settings on there, the standby behavior setting, digital analog input setting, left or right speaker when using a digital input, and a ground lift, and not very interesting but very important. And when it comes to signals, it accepts analog signals over XLR and over jack, and it accepts digital signals over AES or SPDIF. There's also an input for a foot switch, and you can use the foot switch to change the setting of the Fluid to only use the mid driver and basically simulate a mix cube. So if you have these, you don't need mix cubes anymore. Now next to the foot switch input, it gets really interesting, because there's a USB port on here. And with the USB port you get access to the DSP. And this is super valuable, because you can set up the Image 2 using Sonarworks. And here is how that works. It's pretty simple. You first have to set the speakers into measurement mode. You can do that by using the DCT tool, which is a tool that you use to connect over USB to the speaker. And when it's set into measurement mode, it's basically at the most optimal setting to do your measurement, and it's not using the built-in filters and built-in calibration from Fluid. Next, you have to make sure that all the switches on the back are set to the neutral position. And then it's simply time for the Sonarworks SoundID dance. You know the one that I'm talking about. It's this one. Now after that, you can use the SoundID reference software to try out your new preset, and you can also customize it a little bit. And what I found is that the Dolby setting was best suited for me. Now after listening and tweaking a little bit, you can export the file for the Fluids and then upload them to the speaker. And the cool thing about that is that you do not need to have Sonarworks running in the background. You can now plug in every single device and your calibration will always be the same because it's processed in the speaker. Sonarworks is really cool, but do keep in mind that it only does an EQ correction. It doesn't tackle fundamental problems in your acoustics. So if you have them, make sure to fix that before running Sonarworks, because really you cannot compensate for bad acoustics. Now, one of the things that isn't implemented in SoundID or in the fluids is timing correction. And timing correction is pretty new and it's often misunderstood, is what I've noticed in my other speaker videos, but it is very important for translation. Now, I did discuss this with Fluid and they answered that they did do the timing correction on a physical basis. So they did place the drivers in a correct position to get better time alignment. And that's the reason why the high frequency driver is a bit deeper into the speaker. And I mean, this is fair enough, but I do think that there is more possible by using the built-in DSP. And they said that there may be a future software update in which they will tackle that. So we'll see. Now, apart from this time alignment issue, which I don't really blame them for, it's something that is still very new in speaker design and also very often misunderstood. These perform very good, definitely when I did the Sonarworks calibration, because even that high frequency complaint that I have with ribbon drivers was completely gone after the calibration. So really, if you get these, make sure that you calibrate them. And I think that these are very nice speakers in a music production studio, a recording studio, and even small mixing studios. Now, because I've got a satisfying performance out of these speakers doesn't mean that you will have that. And that's why I always recommend everybody to test speakers before you're going to buy them. Really check out with your local shop, your local dealer, if you could get a set of these to try out and test. Because what works for me might not work for you at all and the other way around. So it's really important to really try before you buy. With speakers, really try it in your own environment, within your own workflow. Really do it. Do it. Don't listen to me or anyone else. If you do not feel it, speakers might not be the ones for you. Now, as for me, I'm going to return these speakers to Fluid. First of all, because these are pre-production units. And second of all, because I don't really need them. I already have a very, very good setup, which I still love a lot. And I cannot really compare my setup to these Fluids because my speakers are like a lot more expensive. So it's definitely not something to compare to each other, but yeah, there's no reason for me to keep them, so I will be returning them. And when it comes to the disclosure, Fluid has been very relaxed with sending me these speakers and giving me some time to check them out. They also were very open to the concept of trying them out on a live stream. I will link the live stream over here where you can see my first reaction to them. But apart from that, everything that I'm saying in this video is my complete honest and independent opinion. Fluid has absolutely no saying in what I'm doing or not doing in my videos. And I like to keep it that way. So if you appreciate that, make sure to check out my affiliate links. I'll link them all over here, the QR codes. They'll also be in the description down below. You can buy your hardware, for instance these speakers on Thomann or Sweetwater, and your software on Plugin Boutique. So make sure to check that out. Another way to support me is by becoming a channel member. You can do that using the join button down below. As a member, you get early access to videos and answers to your questions. I'll link an interesting playlist over here. If you don't want to become a member but want to support the channel, make sure to check out more of my videos. So I'll link an interesting video over here. Don't forget to subscribe, keep pushing, and bye bye.